Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin and with me today are...
Jake,
Chris,
and Ames.
And we are on episode 159.
Wow.
Ayo.
hot diggity daffodil.
Hot diggity daffodil indeed. And we are here, again, as often is the case, to discuss a couple of episodes of the Star Treks, Deep Space Nine. Today we're going to talk about Necessary Evil and Second Sight. First, in Necessary Evil, we get a awesome Odo and Kira backstory.
Awesome?
I liked it. Oh, Ames, you're just wrong this time. I'm just saying. I love you. Anyway, cut that.
Cut that Caitlin loves me.
No.
She hates me now.
No, I just meant all of it, because I just didn't want to...
No,
Tell us more about the adventures of Detective Odo.
Columbo?
Of film noir
One
Odo.
more thing.
I loved it. I thought it was great. All right, anyway. So, we open with...
Oh, that chick.
Quark hanging out with Vatrick?
Yeah,
Is that it?
Mrs. Vatrick.
Oh, no, what's her name? then?
Palra?
Femme
it says?
fatale.
Oh, is that her? She's
Yeah.
Palra? Oh, okay.
Because in Bajoran, they have the name as
Right,
flop.
yeah.
We open with Quark hanging out with legs up to here. Palra, who's hired him to go and find a box that her husband stored in his shop before he was killed.
5 years ago.
Quark's like, sure, and he goes and he gets the box. And we find out that Rom isn't completely useless. And he finds inside this box, inside a wall, inside of Deep Space Nine, a list. And it's a list of names. And as they're going to leave with it, Quark is stopped by some Bajoran dude and shot.
Whoops.
And he basically spends the rest of the episode in critical condition.
Whoops.
And Rom spends the rest of the episode excited about owning the bar. Sort of. But it turns out that this woman was suspected years ago of killing her husband, and Odo was put on the case by Gul Dukat. So now Odo is back on the case. They're trying to save Quark's life. It's all a big thing. And he uses some kind of Vulcan mindfuckery on Rom to help to remember a name.
He just yelled at him.
He was doing some weird
I
hypnosis
don't
shit.
think he was. Because my notes say they should have done that.
Well, he was trying to do something.
Alright, go on.
Maybe that's why you didn't like the episode. Maybe you weren't paying attention.
No, I watched it twice. Because I didn't understand what the fuck was going on the first time.
Oh, alright. Well, I didn't have that problem, so maybe that's why. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So they find out that all the people on this list were, like, funneling money back to Ladyface and Odo, and we find out that Odo met Kira on Deep Space Nine 5 years ago, and at first, Palra was saying that Kira had killed her dead husband, and Kira was like, nope. And, turns out it was Kira. We find out in the future/present that we're in, and, I don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, because he was a collaborator, and the list were other collaborators, and
Right.
there was blackmail.
Because they were all Bajoran underground folk.
No, they were just...
They were all...
Oh,
they were
sorry,
all-
the opposite. They were all
Yeah.
fucking sympathizers
Kira-
with the Cardassians.
Kira was the resistance, yeah. Yeah, I actually really like this one, too. I think it does a lot of neat stuff. It gives,
does.
like, we see sort of Odo's origin story in a way.
Yeah.
How Odo met Kira, how Odo met Dukat, how Odo met Quark. It's very cute.
How Odo met Justice.
Odo has always known justice.
That's true. He thinks it's a genetic trait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was shot really well. I mean, it was very, 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 very transparently a noir story. Like,
It became too noir for me.
like complete with the voiceovers, which they sort of like
Framed as his log.
right.
Which I thought was a clever device. It was a clever device to, like, let's give him a noir voiceover, but have it make some amount of sense in universe.
Yeah.
But also, let's go over the top with how noir-y it is until Ames is sick of it.
See, I think it was okay.
I
don't
know,
mind it.
by like the third log, when he's laying it on so thick, it's like, some people don't know that Justice is my best friend, but I'd fuck Justice in the ass any day.
Well, see, that's what I kind of liked about it, though, is that... Because his first entry, he's just like... Commander Sisko is making me do this. This is dumb. Everything's fine. Then, like, within a few days, he's fucking Johnny Poet.
Yeah, I also just, like, I assume that, like, you know, because Odo is a pretty serious guy, and I don't imagine he has many flights of fancy, but I could imagine him being, like, a fan of, like, Sam Spade stories, you know, like, he's he might, for all we know, might be just mimicking, like, noir detective stories intentionally.
And Columbo.
And Columbo. Yeah, he legit pulls and one more thing.
Yeah, that was great. You told us ages ago it was coming, but I wasn't expecting it to be this soon, and I was delighted.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more, too.
Yeah, that's his favorite trick.
It's his favorite trick.
That and turning into a rat.
Oh, I missed Rat Odo. He didn't do any in this episode, did he?
Which I like, because, like, that's one of the reasons why Ducat even hires him, is because, like, oh, well, you know, you could turn yourself into something to, like, spy on people and get into places people can't go, and then he doesn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, just has to be Odo. Did
Quark insinuate that Odo liked to do an impression of the Cardassian neck?
That's what I assumed the neck trick was.
That Odo was like, I don't like doing that. It's weird. I don't like it.
Well, Ducat talked about it,
and Ducat
too.
slaps me around when I do it.
Well, no,
Gal was saying that they loved it. That's why they wanted him on the space station.
You know, you entertained us, and, like, it was like the dancing monkey thing.
Wow,
like,
that's sad.
Odo didn't want to be the dancing monkey.
Yeah, that's when he first met Odo. Was at a party where he was doing the Cardassian neck trick, as they called it. It was interesting, though. I thought, you know, young Odo.
Yoda.
Baby Odo.
Baby Odo.
Can somebody please meme that? Baby
Odo. All you'd have to do, really, is Photoshop off the ears and make him kind of more beige.
Well, see, I actually made a crack once about Baby Odo, and someone replied, because I had said, is it just like a smiling puddle? And someone replied, so basically just Ditto? I was like, oh yeah.
What's that?
Ditto's a shapeshifter Pokemon who's usually just an amorphous blob with a big smile until he turns into another Pokemon.
That sounds terrifying.
It really is in Detective Pikachu, actually, the movie.
Cool.
But you know, one thing I found really interesting, you know, is of course we're so used to Odo, you know, as the constable. So it's really it's almost disconcerting when you first see young Odo.
He's taking his, like, bumbling first steps.
Well, not even just that, but when he's first talking to Ducat, he's, like, not making eye contact, and he seems so, like, passive and submissive, and you're like, this is weird.
He started off really bad at detectiving, because he goes up to Kira and he's like, ha, you were in love with him. And she's like, no. He was in love with you. Doubt it. You're lying.
Well, not to mention he approaches her telling her how pretty she is, and she's like, I'm not a whore. Why do people always think Kira is trying to sell herself?
Well, Odo didn't.
Yeah,
she thought
he did. That was I think the coolest thing about this episode, for me anyways, was, like, seeing the station.
Yeah.
And the contrast that they set up. Like, I loved how they shot this, the transitions between...
The transitions were very good.
Like, there's a great one where they're laughing, and then it transitions to present day.
To Quarks, where people are laughing.
Yeah, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, the transitions were all really, really smart.
Like,
cool.
The door opening was a good one right at the beginning.
Quark Nor is so dark.
Yeah.
But
they don't light the place.
But there was
much.
a scene, and, like, at first I was like, I think you even said when we were watching, like, why did they show these little kids running around the promenade? And at first you were like, why are they bothering showing us these little kids? But then in the very next scene,
there's sad children
to Tarek Nor, and there's two sad children looking through the gate.
Those are my favorite children.
And it was like, you know, so they were just contrasting, like, this is now a place where kids run around and play on the promenade, but not long ago it was a place where, like, kids were
sadly waiting for their parents to come back from mining duty.
Yeah, I think where I got first confused in this episode is I was looking down at something or taking a note when they did the first flashback, and then I look up, I'm like, why is Ducat here and what's going on? Because I didn't realize it was a flashback right away because I didn't see the first segue, and I was confused for the rest of the episode.
No.
So I rewatched it again. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah.
I get it now. This was totally worth it.
Now, we find out at the end that the killer that he was hunting in the past was actually Kira, even though she convinced him otherwise at the time.
Even though he was like, "Oh, you're not a very good liar."
Well, she had a good alibi because she happened to know there was a terrorist attack happening when she did the murdering. Did they plan it that way?
And that was the impression I was
under.
No,
it was supposed to. She said it was an accident that she murdered him. That he walked in when she was trying to steal the list.
That's right. So but it was while her companion...
Yeah, and that would not have mattered to Ducat. Like, he would have hung her. Sorry. But what's interesting, or not interesting, but kind of a loose
petty.
end plot, a plot thread that I didn't, unless you guys picked something up that I missed.
I watched it twice,
is
so
that he,
let's find out.
so the murder is unsolved until present day.
Right.
5-year case.
Ducat says that if Odo doesn't bring him the killer, that he's going to execute 10 Bajorans at random. So did 10 Bajorans get murdered because Kira lied?
Probably.
Jesus,
They did love murdering Bajorans.
I know. Well, like that was Ducat's whole thing. It's like, I know you'll find the killer, and here's your incentive. I'm gonna straight up just murder 10
We never
people.
see what Odo eventually tells Ducat. All we know is that Odo said it's not Kira.
Right, because
He could have pointed the finger at somebody else.
So either on one hand, it's like the trolley problem, right? Like on one hand, Odo could have just named anybody.
The wife.
And,
she was a bitch.
and that person would have gotten executed, or he could have named nobody.
Yeah.
And 10 people were going to get executed. Either way, the actual killer, Kira, who, justifiable homicide, maybe, I don't know, or, self-defense, who knows? Probably not either. Probably just, I don't want to get caught.
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Is walking free.
I mean...
And his best friend later.
It could just be that the case just kind of kept going because Odo was on it, and then it just became a non-issue because
Do you think Ducat would have done that?
Oh, Ducat would have just murdered people, like a person a week just for fun.
Yeah, that's I think at the end of the day, because they said half the reason they got him involved was because he just wanted to make sure his network of
informants
and collaborators wasn't rumbled. And probably once it became clear that whatever had happened, that network was still fine, he probably stopped caring.
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, that's true.
Like at some point he realized, like, all right, that guy's dead, but nothing else has happened. I think this was a coincidence. I don't care anymore.
So is it implied that when Kira figured out, this Cesaro guy that Rom remembered most of the name of...
Chesso.
C-O, and there's an apostrophe somewhere in it. Chesso. Did she, inform somebody, Cesaro's a guy, go murder the fuck out of him, or...
I think that's I think the implication was that she, ran it up the chain. But I don't know. I feel...
Well, no, I think Oda was under the impression that wife there had him killed.
That doesn't make sense.
Because he mentioned the name to her in their interview.
See,
Remember he goes on that whole thing where he's like, I mentioned him to her, and that's also why he had the extra guard put on Quark.
Well, that doesn't make the most sense, right?
Well, no, because she just wanted money.
She wanted the list so she could blackmail the people on it.
Yeah, no, it is entirely possible Kira had that man killed.
Because I think that my understanding was that, probably the lady was going to these people and saying, hey, I got a list that proves you were a collaborator, and I'll report you to the cops. Because I'm sure just like the Nazis, I'm sure if you were a collaborator, you were going to go to jail.
Yeah, or at the very least, even if they weren't going to jail you, your standing
ruined.
in Bajoran society is fucked.
Yeah, so blackmail doesn't work if you're just going to off him. Why would she just kill him? She didn't get any money, or she did get the money from. I don't know.
Yeah, it's that's the one thing that's a little vague, and maybe on purpose. Again,
why did she wait 5 years to get this list?
Well, it's only been in Federation hands for a little over a year now, so that was probably part of it.
Yeah, I'm guessing it would if a Bajoran had gone onto the station to trying to access, cut panels off of walls.
I think that was the other thing. When she goes to Quark, and that scene with Quark was hot. That was a fucking steamy fucking scene, and that dress was great. And she's like, oh yeah, so you have to go to my late husband's murder her. I was under the impression that the husband had died recently, so when we went to the past, I was very confused.
Well, what I loved about it was she was all angry. They'd only been married for 2 years. When she's like, we had 2 years of great whatever together. And then...
Well, she seemed like she's a piece of work anyway.
She was mostly there for his collaborator money.
Yeah, and
his tea, his ginger tea.
Ginger tea and his fancy apartment.
I thought that was why Kira liked him, was his ginger tea.
Yeah, but she probably liked it too.
Sounds up your alley, Chris.
Yeah, so I think the other piece that's implied with her, why this is now, is because they say that she was in debt.
Right.
So, she had, maybe she didn't have money problems
Still
until
had that
now.
great dress.
And she's like, yeah, I got the ace in the hole. I'll blackmail these guys into sending me money to just keep quiet about this list.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, with her, we've seen what I imagine is sort of the first example of secular Bajoran jewelry. Because she's got that big, ridiculous, swirly earring with the, pearls on it. So it's funny, though, because she only ever wears one earring. So even when it's not the religious thing, the Bajorans are just like, no, just one. 2 is ostentatious. And she has a couple different earrings in the episode. One's the 2 that look a little closer to the more traditional, like a little bit here and the cuff there. But, like, that first one is clearly just purely, like, I'm a fancy femme fatale lady earring.
You give Quark some umox.
And he's also been there for quite some time, which I guess they always did say, but it's still sort of weird to see it. It's like, oh yeah, he's just kind of been there.
It's weird to think that he, like, predates Odo in that way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I liked the subtle performance change that Quark has in the past, where he's still Quark, but he's somehow scummier.
Because he can be.
When Odo goes, because, Kira had asked him to be her alibi, and he decided, hey, I'm sure she didn't say, you can say I fucked you or something. He just decided, like, I'm going to say she was here, but also that we banged.
Yeah. Yeah,
he'd probably still say that.
At the end of the day, as long as he wasn't breaking any of their rules, the Cardassians wouldn't have given a fuck what he did. Whereas, Sisko's trying to run a Federation station, so he's going to want him to be a little more on the up and up.
Oh, what was cut from this episode, which people were very sad that, was cut. The writer and also Mark Alemo was very sad this was cut. There was a scene in the 3rd act where it was revealed that Mrs. Vatrick was having an affair with Dukat. And you see him leaving her quarters and they kiss.
Ooh, that's very juicy.
And it was, it was going to be a red herring being like, wait a minute, is Dukat in on more than he seems to be in on? Or what's going on here? And I would have loved to see that.
I like the idea of Dukat fraternizing with Bajorans.
Oh, he does lots more fraternizing with Bajorans in the future.
Oh, really? He's just fucking all the Bajorans?
Oh, there's a connection.
So there's a moment which is very sweet in the present where Odo goes into the Replimat or whatever, and it's, I think, is it Odo and... not Odo. I know it's a Sisko and Dax, but it's somebody in Dax, and someone's like, Constable, you look like you just lost your best friend, and Dax immediately goes, is Quark, like, everyone knows. Everyone knows their best friends.
That was really sweet.
That was cute. So you guys say this was a good Odo and Kira episode. I say this is our first half-decent Rom episode. Because Rom was actually... I was a fan of Rom's arc of this episode and his portrayal and how, he's doing all this screaming. He's telling Quark he likes to, go into the storeroom even though he shouldn't.
He's so proud of how quickly he can break one of those. He even says to Odo, it's like, I can do it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, like, he has the line to Odo where, you're not as stupid as you look. Yes, I am too.
Yeah, no, there was some great Rom stuff in this.
Yeah, you just saved Quark's life.
Then he screams. I loved his scream. Oh, Ferengi and their screams.
I don't like it. I don't like when he does it. I didn't like it when Quark does it, and I don't like when Nog does it.
What else is he screams, and then they just pan to Odo, to Quark, whose eyes are open. He just smiles. It's like, I'm not sure what happened, but Rom got screwed.
So we also find out, another time when the weapons detectors are conveniently defeated. This time because it was a compressed something or other.
Yeah, you just need a specific kind of weapon, and it's not even going to work. I wrote it down. It's the compressed Tetrian beam weapon.
Yeah, apparently that just walks right through, and it is apparently extremely deadly.
And apparently easy enough to get, I'd imagine.
It's a good thing Quark had been doing those anti-grav injections with Bashir, so he survived the gunshot wound.
I did like how, it's funny, because Odo does fall into the role pretty quickly. Just because apparently he's just been a natural observer for so long.
Now, he asks, to have security on Quark in Medbay, and yet they never lock the door. Like, fucking, what's his name? The asshole, Trasco.
Yeah.
Trasco just walks in with flowers, with a bouquet of knife flowers, and the guy's like, "Oh nope, you can't come in here." It's like, "Yeah, but you let me." But I'm already in here. I'm already in here. Like you did not stop me from coming in here, friend.
Usually if you have a guard on a hospital room, you're supposed to have a guy inside and outside.
And maybe lock the door.
So this guy's like the dumbest fucking assassin.
Oh, he's the worst.
So he brings a bouquet of flowers with a hidden knife. He uses the hidden knife to murder the guard. And then he uses a pillow to smother Quark. Like now,
The knife was right there.
he has
still.
the knife.
Yeah, but it was probably so that they would think it happened naturally.
But they wouldn't notice the dead
guard
with a knife in his chest.
No points.
Maybe. Oh my God! Quark just drifted off in the night, and poor Stumpy here he fell on his knife.
No, he couldn't take it. The death of Quark was too much.
Like even if you
He had to
wanted to
commit
hide.
seppuku.
Even if you wanted to hide that, it was a murder on Quark and just, a natural thing, which I seriously doubt that, like in the future they're going to be like, oh, there's, like, pillow particles in his lungs,
Dust mites.
But, like, at the same time, your whole plan is out the window once you stab the guard. Just stab him.
Yeah, no, I didn't think of that, but you're right. That is a bit... That is clearly drama overtaking sense.
Yeah.
Because, knife was right there. Still very usable. That's the thing about knives. If they only worked once, imagine how often you have to buy it. Well, that was a lovely dinner. Time to buy some new knives.
Yes. All right, here's a question that may be too large a conversation to have. Because Kira asks Odo when she thinks he's hitting on her. She asks, why are men like that? And he's like, I don't know. Why is Odo gendered male?
Oh.
I think that's because his scientist,
discoverer?
Yeah, the scientist that, raised him, basically, was male. I mean, he even says that he modeled his appearance and his hair off of that guy. So, we will eventually learn more about his people, and I don't think that they're inherently gendered, necessarily.
Okay, I don't remember.
But I think
we meet some, but I feel like we refer to them as gendered people.
Well, they definitely are.
They're not like the Binars or...
No. I mean, they are gendered, but I think that they choose... I think that the idea, anyway, and we'll talk about this more in the future, is that they're like... They'll choose an appearance and they try to relate to the people they're interacting with.
But yeah, I think your explanation makes as much sense as anything, is like... He had a male roommate and was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just struck me when you realized, oh wait, yeah, you don't mistreat women like other men do and shit like that. Like Kira's used to being treated because you didn't have this upbringing, you didn't have this ingrained in this is what boys do. Boys pull girls' pigtails and this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, I don't understand human beings. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna be a bird for a while.
Well, I also do like how it is, in so many ways, the episode is like a very traditional noir story, but then it's the Odo's alienness really puts some interesting small twists on it. Like in a noir story, there would definitely be some sexual tension with the femme fatale and the pretty girl and everything. But that doesn't obviously it's specifically like, no, I am only about justice. Mm-hmm. And then later, he goes in the bar and Quark's like, let me pour you a drink. He's like, I don't drink. He's like, well, let me pour you, a soft drink. I don't drink.
Don't have a stomach. There's nowhere for it to go.
There's every noir thing has a scene where the detective pours himself a scotch and, sits down and then the bad guy breaks in or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. I do like this one. I think
not enough Ducat kissing. One can hope. In the future, maybe.
Yeah, Ducat, I liked him in this.
Oh, his neck is so long. He's got the longest...
He has a really long neck.
Yeah.
It's weird. He's like giraffe people.
That much more Cardassian neck ridge going on.
One interesting thing, though, I thought, too, was like, for all that he's like, I'm not on anyone's side when he's younger, he's already kind of on the Bajoran side, because, like... He gives Ducat a lot of stick about stuff. He's like, murder all the time. He's like, those are casualties. And he starts to get really like...
Well, I think it's
justice. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. It's like at the end of the day, he bristles at injustice, which means he is inherently, whether he means to or not, is against the Cardassians. Because they are unjust.
Yeah, it is interesting that Ducat... it makes sense, I guess, in the end why he chose Odo to do the investigation. He perhaps kind of expected Odo, this isn't explicitly stated, but there's probably a sense that he expected Odo to not be a good investigator.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, the investigation, I think, is less about, finding the killers as it is about putting up a show of doing an investigation.
Yeah. Yeah, he just knew
Look, we tried.
Odo as a mediator.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that he has a natural talent for...
Yeah. And he couldn't risk, having a Bajoran run the investigation because they might find about the thing.
Yeah, the list.
And a Cardassian running the investigation would, the Bajorans would never go for that. So it makes sense that he went with Odo, both from the sense of neutrality and potential for incompetence.
Well, and also just the fact that, this was, for all we know, explicitly his network of informants. And
yeah.
So, it's also just another thing he wouldn't want other Cardassians knowing about. Those are his tools.
Mm.
So I think that's another reason he would want to keep his own people out of the investigation.
Yeah, he's definitely
as well.
one of these knowledge's powers bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Yeah.
How did, maybe I missed it, or maybe I'm just not remembering, but how did Odo realize that it was Kira all these years later?
Oh, fuck.
When he learned that it was about the collaborators, he realized, okay, in this case, there's not actually a motive for the wife anymore.
Yeah.
But there is a motive for people who are in the
Bajoran underground?
Yeah, the Bajoran terrorists.
And also you figured out, because the name he got from Rom, wasn't quite the right name. He's like, you sure did get that other name from that wrong name really quickly.
Because he hasn't told anybody the chess out to any other people.
Yeah.
Which I think lends some credence to the idea that Kira let slip that Cesaro was a collaborator and maybe somebody else went and took care of it.
Yeah, which again would make more sense because wife has no reason to kill
she has
him.
no motive to kill Cesaro.
Not when she can take his money.
And maybe Kira didn't say go off this guy, but maybe she was like, hey, just so you know, remember that guy we always thought might have been a collaborator? Well, he's on the list.
Womp womp.
Yeah, now Kira says, my friendship with you is very important to me, and will this change anything? And Odo's like, I assume we'll see more of this in the future? That Odo and Kira, there isn't a trust there anymore?
I don't
know
about
damn
that.
Better not be.
I think what we find out...
5 years he's been, looking for this person, and she's been right there!
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think this is...
I almost feel like that would make him respect her more.
This is kind of the beginnings of...
She's a murderess!
Some serious Kira Odo stuff that will go down later.
There's some serious Kira Odo shit that's gonna go down?
I don't want to say more than that, but...
I can't fucking wait, dude. I love this show.
Yeah. And we will see more. I don't know if it's specifically what you expect it's going to be, but...
What shape does his dick have
to be continued.
Any shape she wants.
Anyway, we have another episode to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Which one is it?
Second Sight. So in Second Sight,
this one. Right.
It's the 4th anniversary of the death of Sisko's wife.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. And there are some visitors on DS9. This dude, Gideon... Satanic. Anyway, Gideon, according to this card, a renowned terraformer who is seeking to reignite a star. Basically, his whole thing is telling everybody how fucking great he is. He reminds me of kind of like John Malcolm. No, not John. What's his fucking name?
Ian Malcolm?
Ian Malcolm, thanks. In Jurassic Park.
Jeff Goldblum's character.
Oh,
he's got that.
Oh, I like that.
She could be the future ex-Mrs. Malcolm. He's got that thing going on. Anyway, whilst Sisko is kind of mourning his wife, he meets a lady named Venna.
Fenna?
Was it Fenna?
Fenna.
Sounded like Venna.
No.
That was an F sound.
Oh, well, so you say. Anyway, Favenna, vanilla wafer. Yeah, so he meets this lady, Fenna.
Gorgeous red dress.
Oh my god, gorgeous
Loved
everything.
it.
She's stunning. And Sisko obviously thinks so too, because he kind of he's into her, but then she kind of has to run off suddenly.
Good week for dresses.
That's weird. Then they meet again, and they have another moment, and she leaves suddenly, and he's like, what the fuck's up with this lady? And everybody's like, oh, you're in love. Kira calls him on having a different drink at
Jake's
the
like,
station.
tell me, Dad, who's your lady
Yeah,
friend?
when do I get to meet her, Dad? Holy shit, Jake, slow down. She doesn't even know you fucking exist yet.
Jake's plowing a Dabo girl. So.
Yikes.
Well, I'm sure he's not plowing her, but he's teaching her about etymology.
That's
That's
next week.
next
That's
not-
next week anyway.
Oh, god damn it, Jake.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Both Jakes. Damn both Jakes.
Yeah, fucking
Damn it,
Jakes.
Jakes.
But yeah, Jake's being all creepy, and Sisko's like, slow down there, cockblock. Jesus.
Nice.
So he's kind of like, where is she? Odo, find her. I don't know, she's got a red dress or some shit. I don't fucking know anything about her. I know her first name. I don't know her last name. I don't know where she came from. She's got dark skin. She's wearing red.
That fucking
That
delivery.
fucking delivery was so weird.
I forget everything else about what she looks like, except for the red.
Red. And so...
She had weird fucking ears.
Yeah.
That's a
love
distinguishing
her
trait.
I know,
ears.
but why did he tell that to Odo?
I don't know, because he was too busy looking at her tits to see her
Yeah,
ears. He didn't even
accurate.
notice her fucking ears. Are you kidding me? But anyway,
They say pointy
still-
ears, pointy ears.
I don't think that's what they say.
No.
I hope it isn't. But anyway, he's still trying to figure out who is this mystery woman? Where is she? And he goes to dinner at Gideon's house, and holy shit, Gideon's wife, Nidell, is the spitting image of Fenna.
Whoops.
What? And so Sisko...
But also really like aloof.
Yeah. Sisko's like, oh, you're just gonna pretend you don't know what happened between us? And she's like, holy shit, buddy, you need to cut back on the Coco Onos. I don't know who the fuck you are. And Sisko's like, no, you don't understand. You're not married in my version of you. And she's just like, okay, bye,
Version
fucking
of you.
weirdo.
I have a you in the holodeck.
You fucking weird asshole. And like 5 minutes later, he's seeing Fenna again, and he's like, WTF? And she's like, whatever, I love you. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. And they kiss.
I'll be yours forever.
They kiss, and it's really cute. But then...
Nadell passes out or some shit, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like, when she reappears, I think she disappears again after they kiss. When she reappears again later, and Sisko's like, Dax! So Dax comes,
Oh, yeah.
and then they kind of wind up going to, like, I don't know, confront Gideon about this woman who's, like, his wife, maybe? And that's when they find that Nidell is passed out, and Gideon's, like, really pissed off. And they're like, what's your problem? And he's like, oh, my wife is a Halanan, which is a species that, when under pressure, can create a telepathic projection of their subconscious. And that's what Fenna is. Fenna is the telepathic projection of Nidell's subconscious. And Gideon's like, oh, all my other wives left me, and she can't leave me because, what did you say, Chris? They're space Catholic?
Yes.
They can't get space divorced because they're space Catholics. So this guy decides he's gonna drive himself into a star to rebirth it, just so that she doesn't...
that came out of nowhere.
So she doesn't have to stay married to him, I guess.
Mm.
And
then she's free.
She's free.
She's a widow now. It's
And
fine.
she's like, sorry, Sisko, I don't know you. I don't feel that way about you. Okay, bye. And Sisko's like, the fuck. The end.
So Gideon's wife,
My wife.
her subconscious really wants Sisko's manual steering column, it sounds like.
I mean, yeah.
I think they did a really, really, really good job of differentiating between Fenna and Nidell. Like, even though it's clearly it is the same woman, but it's such a different look. Like, at first I was like, why is he so upset? That's not even the same. Oh, no, it is. It is the same. Jesus Christ.
You're not 100% sure till you see the crazy ears, though.
Yeah. It's like, have you seen Orphan Black at all?
I have not.
No.
Orphan Black is, it's the same actress playing like 85 different characters, because they're all clones or something.
Yeah.
There's a character that's just incidentally who is the what's his name, the fake time traveler from
Rasmussen?
Rasmussen.
No shit.
Oh, that's funny.
Fuck, that's
But yeah,
fun.
no. The first time watching like the first episode, I didn't get the twist because I didn't think the different characters she's playing looked at all alike. So when one of them was like, "Oh my god, she looks just like me," I'm like, "No, she doesn't."
You're like,
Oh wait, it's literally the same actress. Fuck.
I don't see it.
And that's how Ames found out she had face blindness.
That's how
kind of
Ames
do.
got her groove
Well,
back.
okay, I'm sorry. This is about the last episode, but it's just a little incidental thing I want to throw in there because
God
I noticed it
damn
and I
it.
want to just draw attention to it.
Yep.
Since we're talking about things that reminded me of TNG, the lady in her house,
Yeah.
she had a Resican stew pot.
Oh.
Sure.
What's Ressican again?
That's the
dead planet with the flutes.
Okay, that's what I
flute
thought.
People. She has
Flute planet.
She has the prop, the stew pot was on like her table. I was like,
That's funny.
Man.
That dirty bitch.
I will say, I don't think, I think it wasn't seeded as well as it could have been, Ames, but I don't think his suicide comes completely out of nowhere. Because they tried to have this thread in the plot that, again, I don't think was... He was clearly, because it came up a little, but I don't think it was they really did enough with it, but this idea that, he realizes he's about to do, if this works, the greatest thing of his career.
Yeah, reignite a sun.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And
for
he's kind
lots
of,
planets.
having
like
this,
Half-Life's guy's planet. That would have been great for them.
But he's sitting there kind of, feeling like, there's that thing about Alexander.
What's left to do at this point?
Yeah, Alexander wept for he saw there were no new lands for him to conquer. So I think they were trying to seed this idea that he was like, what the fuck do I do with my life after this? And I think that, again, wasn't in the 4 as well as it could have been.
He was a little like Stubbs from TNG.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the way that they portrayed him, because, even in the descriptions, even when every time they talk about him, it's like, oh, he's this big egomaniac kind of guy.
I am!
And it's like, it felt like how they portrayed Hutch. Like, they told you, Hutch is really annoying. Hutch is the most annoying character, and you see him, and he's a guy, he's fine.
Yeah, but...
They say, this guy is such a big egomaniac, and he's a guy, he's fine, he's just...
He does talk about himself
I understand why, this was very similar to Hutch, and,
Except I loved Hutch.
Yeah,
Who was Hutch again?
He was the guy that in Starship Mine.
How quickly we forget poor Hutch.
He's the guy that ran the station when they were.
Remember when Data was trying to impersonate a guy who was telling lots of funny stories?
Oh.
He was behind a pillar, doing yes, and then you tell a story like this.
And everyone was trying to avoid going to the dinner.
But not actual funny stories. We're talking about he tells really
anecdotes.
boring fucking anecdotes.
How about that weather?
And then he got killed, and I guess the major acknowledgement of his death was in a scene that got cut. So it's just
he's just a body.
Yeah, and we had a whole thing about poor Hutch.
But
well,
no,
I totally forgot he existed. So
but,
I've been living my life. Thanks.
I understand. Yeah, sure. Watching on TV, you're he doesn't seem like such a bad guy. But you got to imagine how fun is it to talk with somebody that does nothing except talk about themselves.
Well, he talks about his work a lot too, though.
But he talks about his work in the context of I'm so great.
Yeah.
Well, it's
it was badly written, I think is what it was. Because even if you find a big egomaniacal character, that's not how they talk.
He was like a much less demure Slartibartfast. Talking about the specific things he did. You should see this waterfall I made. It's fantastic.
He probably shouldn't have married Nadell, though, is the thing.
Ooh.
If you know that Hellenans can't remarry, and if they're not happy in their marriage, they will die of sad.
Maybe he didn't know about the whole space Catholic thing until afterwards.
Yeah, but all of his wives have left him. He says, I've got a edition of my autobiography for every a volume of my autobiography for every wife.
Yeah.
See, someone should introduce this guy to Waxana. That's all I'm thinking.
Oh my god.
Oh my! I don't know if the universe could take.
I was gonna say, I feel like she would probably drive him off.
That would create some sort of subspace calamity so huge it would create a whole new wormhole.
It would reignite a star.
Yeah. That's how they reignited the two of them. Just fuck on top of the dead star.
Nice.
So the other thing too, he's an egomaniac, but he apparently lacks ethics because, as we know from Star Trek 3. All ethical scientists have sworn off proto-matter.
Well, maybe they've...
Yeah, they probably figured out some way to handle it.
It's been a while. They've come around.
Is he in the Federation, too? He probably is, actually.
Yeah, they're ferrying around on one of their ships.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Right.
What did you guys think of Captain Woodblock of the Prometheus?
Oh, God, he was the worst. Who's fucking... whose nephew was he that he got that role?
That fucking actor is just so stiff and unemotive.
Yeah.
They should have made the character a fucking Vulcan. I would have bought it more.
Who's this?
I didn't notice
The
it
captain of the... I don't even know he's the captain, but the guy that was commanding
charge,
the Prometheus.
Which apparently doesn't have his own chief engineer, by the way, because they needed to use the chief to,
Yeah, and that's they made it...
jack up their engines.
So that's the other thing. Whenever you see a ship on Star Trek that's not one of the main ships, they always, you always only see a couple of the interiors.
Yeah.
And, like, you get the impression that it's very small.
Yeah.
But you gotta figure that's, what's the class name of that
That's
ship?
a Nova? Nebula class.
Nebula?
Or is it Nova? It's one of the two. I'll look it up while you talk.
But, like, that's basically a...
Galaxy class Miranda.
Yeah, it's a Galaxy class saucer section on top of a star drive.
It's huge.
It's enormous. It's big ass ship, but you get the impression that it's like this little rinky dink thing. Like it should have been honestly an Oberth class.
That would have made more sense.
Would have made a lot more sense.
And yeah,
it's a science mission.
It is Nebula class.
Nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a little weird. I guess because I sort of went outside of my remit on this one because when he mentioned proto matter, I was like, wait a minute, that's from Star Trek 3, right? And
wait a minute, that's from Star Trek. Full stop.
Yeah. So I stole a bit of your thunder.
Actually, there's a lot of proto-matter in The Expanse.
Well, no, that's the proto-molecule.
Proto-molecule.
But I actually did a bit of like the memory
Big
alpha
difference.
digging. But yeah, so I went on to memory alpha, and they were like, yeah, no, they very much intentionally like name dropped proto matter.
Well, the other thing too, though, is that like the whole the reason proto matter was a problem in 3 was because it was unstable.
Yeah.
If you're trying to reignite a star,
That's true.
you might
Fucking
want
David
an
Marcus.
unstable element.
Yeah, but while looking into that, I also saw another note where they mentioned that like they didn't actually use any TNG sets for the
I noticed
Prometheus.
that.
They were all like bespoke sets or redress. There was one was the redress of the like back of the runabout.
I thought that there were definitely elements of the bridge that were Battle Bridge / Enterprise A
You
sets.
know what? I read what it said the bridge was, but I can't remember anymore.
I think it's at least part of it, unless they rebuilt it almost identically, was definitely part of the Enterprise A / Battle Bridge set.
I always gloss over these specifics because I find them boring.
Oh,
That's half the
wow,
fun.
what a bitch.
So speaking of of things that only tangentially connect, but I have to, because Odo was Columbo last episode. Gideon, his actor, once played a killer on Columbo.
Oh, if only Odo had been involved.
Yeah, no, he
Yeah.
well, I guess there was no crime here, but you know.
Oh, okay. So just to throw it back at you, honey.
Cleopatra.
The finding that the production details boring. It was not me who pointed out when we were watching this episode that the crew of the Prometheus all wore TNG uniforms.
Oh, good catch. I didn't think of that. But you're right, as they should have been.
Yeah.
I'm gonna thank you. I can't tell if you're insulting me or complimenting me.
Why
or
can't it be both?
I'm just mad at myself for not thinking of that.
No,
But
I
yeah,
happened to notice because one of the guys, like, for a split second, was like, Data. No. Why do I think that's Data? Oh, because the uniform is different.
Right. I completely lost that. Wow, I am ashamed.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to change tracks. The original pitch of this episode had it be Bashir and not Sisko seeking the vanishing girl.
Oh,
Of course.
I would not have. I could not have taken another Bashir wank story.
Wank story.
I think it was nice to give Sisko, like...
Yeah, they changed it to Sisko to humanize him a bit as they realized he'd gotten to be too aloof, which is something I've
said a lot.
Complained about him. And I think he's even more aloof in this episode, though. Maybe it's because of the romance angle.
He has the weirdest game. Like, I remember, I'm like, is this how you hit on people, Ben? Because this is weird.
The way he delivers lines, I know we've talked about him as like a theatrical, what do we say, jazz Shatner?
Actually, what we landed on is slam poetry Shatner.
Slam poetry jazz Shatner. In this one, it sounded like no matter what he was telling you, it sounded like he was trying to hypnotize you.
I was hypnotized.
I could see that. Oh yeah, no, oh god, it's just so weird. But she was into it.
Yeah, it's like at once it's kind of like understated and casual, but also very deliberate.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
Yeah, well, Fenna is also literally the embodiment of everything Nadell doesn't get, kind of a little bit. So it's like, you know what? You're gonna be my thirst factor, lady. Go be thirsty at somebody. How about this weird guy?
Fucking poor Odo. It's like, I know one of her names, and she was wearing. Like, what I love is he doesn't. We talk about again the red, but he doesn't even like say what, like a dress, pants. I
Monocle?
mean,
So-
Kira wears red. Was it Kira?
You're wearing red. Was it you in the mirror?
Yes.
You have dark skin and are wearing red. Is it you?
Like, at least say red dress with a weird shawl thing.
That
Wow.
dress was great, though.
Oh, amazing dress. Apparently, you may have seen this. That dress without the shawl, they actually used in Generations. Though you don't get a good look at it. It's,
on Kirk's girlfriend.
when you see her, from a
Yeah.
distance on the horse, she's wearing it. I think they said it's used once more somewhere in Trek.
I wouldn't be surprised.
From a distance.
You make that
on the
great dress,
horse.
you use it as much as you can.
Yeah. It's a great dress. Looked great on her.
Another little tidbit we get in this episode is a little bit more about the Curzon Sisko relationship when Dax is trying to pry information out
Telling
of
him that Curzon was a man whore? Yes.
Well, basically like, hey, come on,
We knew this.
we used to do locker room talk all the time.
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't. What's up?
Actually, that's a very cute thing to address. Like, Sisko's relationship with Jadzia Dax is a bit different than his relationship with Curzon Dax. But it seems like, Dax is like, it can still be the way it was. And Sisko's like, can it? How many times? How much do you want me to tell you about my penis?
I mean, she already
Curzon's
knows.
probably seen it.
Yeah, she knows all about it.
Oh, yeah. I took a note on this as well, Jake. And what it specifically was where he was like, this is after they'd seen her with Gideon, but not realized the
Oh my
ghost
god,
angle.
it's if wishes were horses all over again.
But he
It's
was like-
another thirsty Dax.
She's married. I wouldn't have stopped Curzon. That's not a good argument.
No.
Yeah. The last guy died. Oh, this guy died too.
Also, though, it's probably for the best, Ben. You're just getting back into the dating game after 4 years. You don't start with a space Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also just gonna stop marrying people, it sounds like.
He's only been married once.
I wonder though, like.
Who?
Oh, sorry, I was talking about Cisco, not Gideon.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah,
Gideon's maybe like
yes,
10
Gideon
times.
should have stopped marrying a long time ago. But Cisco, I'm just saying, it's his first time in years. It's the first year where, and that's it. He almost forgot, and he's a little upset at himself for that. But it also means he's maybe finally starting to
Move on
a little bit, And I thought that was a really good scene when Jake's talking about his bad dream, and it's obvious he's upset too, but they kind of dance around it for a while, and because he's at that age where he's going to, right? It's like, no, I'm a cool, tough teenage boy. I
date Davo girls.
and then he's like, yeah, no, I miss her, and that was really very well done.
So that was an interesting. I mean, obviously they try to make the lead in early to the episode, but so Jake's dream was all about him lost in the station looking for Sisko, and Sisko spent the whole episode running around the station looking for a girl.
That's true.
So
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah,
Jake's nightmare is Sisko's reality.
He or Nadell, or one of them, Fenna, one of the people in this weird love triangle says toward the end, what we have is a dream. And I slam my hand down, I'm like, but Jake had a dream at the beginning of the episode.
Wow, God damn it, I completely missed
They're
that.
all
I didn't
connected.
catch any of
They're
that.
all dating Jake.
I was just... Wait,
Whoa.
our Jake or Jake Sisko?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I wonder. So Finna appears to Sisko. She's. I mean, other people can see her, but it's not. But she goes for Sisko before he even meets the wife. What's the wife's name? I keep forgetting.
Nadell.
And I wonder if it has anything to do with what he's going through with his wife.
That would make sense,
because he was in a state of emotional something.
Yeah.
And I wonder
It's like an empath.
yeah, maybe her subconscious
She's
thing
part
is
betazoid.
intentionally seeks out people that are vulnerable to her wiles, so that
Or just in a similar state of
misery loves company,
wanting companionship.
Yeah.
I don't think she could possibly be part betazoid. She didn't mention it once.
That's true.
She
I
did-
meant
and she
she
didn't
didn't
have,
say she was an empath.
I was just
She
waiting for her
didn't
to
have the black eye.
try to open a can with those ears.
Yeah, those were.
Jake.
Those...
She got the brown eye though,
Yeah.
huh?
Yikes.
Because we've seen point of the ears before, but hers ends in a very sharp looking double point.
Double point. I like the double point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot
So
too.
here's the thing. So Finna is created by Nadell's subconscious.
Yep.
Nadell undoubtedly has never seen her own butthole. So if if
is going?
Finna showed her butthole to Sisko, what would it have looked like?
A butthole.
Like, would it have looked like Nadel's butthole, or would it look like what Nadel imagines her butthole to look like?
You can cut any of
It
this.
would have looked like Nadel's butthole, but with more dramatic eyeliner.
I'm gonna change topics.
Does Finna have a butthole? Who knows?
Actually, that's a good point. She might not.
Not all species.
So
keep
she
their
doesn't need
butthole
one.
in
She
the
doesn't
same
need,
place.
you know,
Yeah.
she's a ghost.
So anyway, Nadella is passed on a table dying. Sisko and Finna and Odo and whoever else is around, just party in med bay, are like yelling, "Sayadek, no, you don't have to do this. We found another way." No, they didn't. The other way was figure out how to have Finna sacrifice herself.
No,
and
no,
she
Finna-
They just keep slapping her. Wake up.
She at
Wake
that
up.
point, I feel like she was like, okay, fine.
But does she know how to do that?
Well, she's done it before. I think.
I don't think that was voluntary, though.
I thought it was. I thought when she
When-
ran away, it was like, oh, I can't be involved in this guy because I'm a ghost, so I got to go home.
And that's when Nadel wakes up.
Yeah, and then she goes back into Nadel, and Nadel wakes up. But I think this time she's like, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna stay with this guy.
Yeah, but the reason that Fenna exists in the first place is because of Nadel's having a sad. So if Nadel continues being sad, then Fenna will just keep coming back.
Which is why they found a solution to the immediate problem, which was she's literally dying right now, but Gideon realized that that solves the problem right now.
She's going to continue being, Princess Amidala and being sad and dying of sad.
There's a little, interesting.
Is it?
Right.
Shallow and pedantic.
So
wouldn't Nadel be sad, even more sad that her husband died because of her?
I mean,
She
probably
seemed to,
not.
She seemed to not care for him very much.
It's still like a lifetime of counseling. Like, so your husband, who you could not leave because you're whatever this fucking species is that mates for life. Stupid.
She's just drinking heavily. She's like, it's the nicest thing he ever did for me.
Ugh.
So another thing I thought was going back to Gideon and his demeanor and how people react to him. So, Kira obviously
oh god, yeah.
wasn't putting up with the shit. Sisko was kind of amused by him, I think.
In that way that Sisko is
would be,
amused by all
yeah.
sorts of weird shit.
O'Brien was like, what the fuck's this guy's problem? And he didn't even try to hide it when they were talking. He just looked like he was annoyed the whole time. But then the one person who really liked Gideon was Julian, who's basically the same thing.
Yep.
Which I thought was a nice writing touch for that character.
We saw him on that date that time with that girl where he's like, well, and I was like the valedictorian of blah, 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 blah.
Salutatorian.
Whatever.
Yeah, like his whole thing is like talking up his accomplishments.
Yep.
And, here's a guy that just does the same thing. It's like an idol.
Yeah, no, I was like, I made that note too. I was like, that's clever. I was just looking over it. There was, I feel, a mischance for an obvious joke, but I still wish they'd kind of done it. Where when they first come into Gideon's bedroom and Nadel is passed out, he's like, help her! And, it's Ben and Jadzia, and I just want her to go, like, I'm a scientist, not a doctor.
And also, doesn't the fucking Prometheus have a medical lab?
Who the fuck knows?
Nope.
They have 3 bridge crew and no chief engineer.
Yeah, and a bunch of empty decks.
Yep. And no one guarding the shuttle bay, just like the Enterprise.
Nope.
Well, they were going to go try to reignite a star. If they fucked it up, they didn't want to kill everyone.
That's true.
understand that.
They sent all the shittiest people they could find. It was a punishment duty. It's like, 1, you have to put up with this guy. 2, you might get kerploded.
Fucking hate when that happens.
So Gideon, I had a thought during this episode that if they hadn't used him already in a different episode, Gideon would have been a perfect part for Kelsey Grammer.
Yep.
Yep. I like it.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen that. Any other thoughts about this before we drive this shuttlecraft into a dead planet?
You could just put Kelsey Grammer under a whole bunch of makeup.
That's true.
Make him
an alien.
I did like his, again, maybe it's obvious, but just screaming, let there be light, right before he blew up.
Yeah, that was cute.
It's like, if you're gonna go, you know it, go big.
Especially when you have an audience.
I really thought you were talking about you liked Kelsey Grammer's appearance. So I was going to be like, what? His last appearance when we saw him in First Contact? That, to this day, that is so fun.
You brought it up earlier,
Crack
Ames.
up every time.
What do I bring up?
But I think now they can save the Half-a-Life planet.
Yay!
Because they said they didn't have
but
long.
Timothy is long dead.
Yeah, that was sadly. But they have, like, the planet I think they said, had, like, a few more decades left. So that there's time. They can save those horrible people with their stupid culture.
But here's the thing, though, right?
They should die.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Yeah, never mind.
Proto-matter is the type of thing we find out in Star Trek 3 that works fine for a little while.
Yeah.
And then the whole fucking thing explodes.
Well, but that's all a star is explosions. It's fine.
Yeah, but it could get worse.
True.
Like, we should probably
Keep an eye on this.
Yeah, let's make sure this star is okay.
We won't.
It actually, it goes wrong in a whole different way. They go to check on it one day. It just somehow turned into the universe's biggest cheeseburger. It's like, Proto-Matter's weird.
They go to check on it one day, and there's a whole bunch of young Spocks.
Nice.
They're all banging because it's Pon Far season.
Oh, no. Moving on. Let's end this.
I love how your belly jiggled when you laughed just now. You tried to held it in, but only your belly jiggled.
Aww.
We'll leave it up to you, readers, who she was talking to.
One of the gyms.
Aww.
Woo! It was sharp.
That was sharp. Alright, speaking of sharp, we're going to take a sharp turn away from this episode and end it.
You have good segues, Caitlin.
Oh, thank you. Don't encourage me, but thank you. Alright, this has been A Star to Steer Her By. Next week it will still be A Star to Steer Her By, and we'll talk about 2 more episodes, Sanctuary and Rivals. Yeah, for now, this has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This is always Ames.
Oh, and I skipped a thing
You
where
did, I
you
was
should
gonna
totally
say.
like and subscribe this podcast. I probably don't need to tell you where to find it since you found it this time, but if you want to find it somewhere else next time, if you haven't already, you can try SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Facebook by searching A Star to Steer Her By. We are SSHB Podcast on Twitter and Tumblr, and you can check out sshbpodcast.com, our home on the web, which is really just a link to our Tumblr page. Someday that won't be true, maybe, but for now it's still true.
When one of us feels like doing web design.
When you say one of us,
When Jake
Do you
feels
mean
like doing
Jake?
web design.
I literally do not have the knowledge, so.
me either. So, and I don't feel like learning.
And this is always Ames.
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Oh, fuck. Rule of Acquisition 139.
Wait, he's gonna make one up?
No. They actually named one, and I think it was... Hold on. Something about the brother.
Yeah. Wives something. Brothers
Wives
inherit.
serve, brothers inherit.
Yeah.
Yes!
There it is! Rule of Acquisition 139! Good night, Seattle! We love you! You alright?
It's very hot.
Hot.
Me mind on fire. Alright. Sorry.
This is 159.
Isn't every week 159? Are you sure?
No, last week was 158.
Are you sure?
I'll double check. There is a non-zero chance that
No,
I
it's
fucked it up.
159 because I'm 160 because I'm multiples of 6. Multiples of 4.
There we go.
Multiples
159.
I'm multiples of 160.
Math has proven you wrong. Another thing it has done to anger you.
No, I love math.
Oh yeah, I'm the one that hates math.
Yeah.
17%.
I like math. I don't like I'm bad at
27%
arithmetic.
names.
I'm terrible at math, as I have proven multiple times in my life.
I mean, I'm good at, like, lower level
I work in
idiot math,
finance.
basically, but...